This tutorial will give you the introductory basics to how to use Noodletools for our Honors English 9 research outline. Noodletools is a website that stores and organizes information for a research project. And we'll be using it throughout the entire research project unit. All of your work needs to be completed in Noodletools, and then it will be shared with me so I'm able to access it, view it, and give you feedback. So you'll go to noodletools.com. The first time you log into Noodletools, you'll need to use a school username and password, and you'll go to current users, sign in. You will log into the personal ID and password space here once you've created an account. But for this first login, go to create a personal ID. You have an account linked to a school or library, subscription or trial, so continue. The school username is NoodleMe, and the password is greenman7 exclamation point. Again, that password is greenman, M-A-N, 7 exclamation point. You're a student, put your expected year of graduation, and then you'll create your personal ID and password. I recommend using your Google login credentials, so your first initial and last name and your Google password. And register. And this won't allow me to, I've already created this account, so you'll just go through these steps and create an account and log in. So I'm going to go and sign in to this account that I created, a student account. So when you're logging in with your account, this is where you will do so. And I recommend bookmarking Noodletools in your Google Chrome browser because you'll be using it often. So this is the project's home page. When you have multiple projects, they will all be listed, but since you don't have any projects yet, you'll need to create a new project. In English, we use MLA Advanced. And this will be the title of your project. So you can call it Research Outline. You can use the title of your book, Research Outline, Honors English 9 Research Outline. And create project. Similar to the dashboard on a car, which has all of the major apparatuses needed to drive the car, the gas gauge, the speedometer, the windshield wipers, etc. The dashboard of your project is the home page with all of the features needed to complete your project. So this is basically the home page of your project. On the dashboard, you have space to type your research question. And once you type the question, you'll click Submit. It's sometimes in Noodletools, if you don't hit Save or Submit, it will not save the work. So be sure to do that. You're not going to have a thesis for this project because your research question is the controlling focus of the project. Public viewing and student collaboration you can ignore, but for sharing, you will need to share your project with the Dropbox for our class. So share project with teacher's Dropbox, and depending on your class period, your assignment Dropbox will begin with the period number in numerical form. So for example, first period, and you'll see Honors English 9 Research Outline 2015 Mrs. Kington. So make sure you choose the right drop box. And please put your first and last name. You also can check Share My Google Docs paper so that your paper shares automatically with me through Noodletools. Now, the other features you'll notice pop up once you share, you'll see that your bibliography and your note cards and outline will be shared with me as well as the paper. And there's a link to Info Ohio, which appears just to provide you with that resource right on your Noodletools account. We'll get into Info Ohio's purpose and how to use it later. So the components, to-do list, and comments section are other features of the dashboard. Components just allows you to access your works cited page, your note cards and outline, and your paper. Notice it's already connected to Google Docs. Another way you can navigate through the aspects of your project is at the toolbar at the top of the screen. And notice these go from broad to more specific. And also they're organized in the order in which you would complete them. So you would create your project in the dashboard, organize your project here. You would create a bibliography as you're gathering and evaluating secondary sources. You would take textual evidence from those sources and put them onto note cards. And lastly, use all of that information to compose your paper, which for this particular project will never turn into a fully written essay. You're just creating the outline for an essay. The to-do list is optional. You can use this feature if you like to organize yourself and chunk projects. You can use this as an additional feature to keep you on track. And comments will appear if I make a comment or a remark on your project. You will see it below. The next thing to learn is how to cite a source in Noodletools. If you've used EasyBib before, this is similar to EasyBib. And you'll notice there are many types of sources you can cite. Everyone will be citing a book for your nonfiction book, but as you continue to conduct research, you might be citing a journal, a magazine, a newspaper, a website, or other periodical, non-periodical, and electronic sources. So Noodletools is great because it gives you formatting for citing many, many, many sources, including blogs, podcasts, and even images. We'll just do a book citation for now, since that will be the first citation you will complete. So you're citing a book. Create citation. Noodletools is great in that it offers many additional tutorials and guidance. So if you want to get further clarification, you can click Show Me, but otherwise continue. So notice this automatically is selected that you're citing a chapter or section from a book. So you can leave that selected. Because you're citing the entire book, the contributor, of course, you would want to start with, and even for chapter or section, it tells you leave this section blank if you're citing the entire book, or if the author of the chapter or part is also the author and only contributor to the book as a whole. So most of you will probably leave this section out, and you will cite your author. Now, some of you, depending on your book, you might have an editor, or more than one editor, or you might have a translator if the book was not originally written in English. Generally, though, you'll have an author, and I'm just going to make up a citation a book off the top of my head. So it asks for the first name first, so make sure you follow the order. Last name, title of the work, so your book title. Publisher, that's the publishing company. Notice how all these little windows pop up and help you along the way. Publication city and year. Annotation is the box where you will be adding your evaluations of your sources. We will be using a specific procedure to do this, and you will learn about this soon. So just know that for every source, you will be adding an explanation, a justification, an evaluation of the source in this annotation box. So you will be using the annotation box, but you do not need to use it right now. So you can submit your citation. So now you'll notice that the citation has completed and it identifies it as a book. There's the full works cited entry. We'll cover note cards in a future screencast or in class. The sources are cited alphabetically because that is MLA format. And when you have additional citations for additional sources, you'll notice a list of them all here. The one thing I do want to point out to you that's very helpful about the citation feature, you can edit this citation if you made a mistake or there's a typo. You can delete it if you end up not using that source. And in text reference, this is extremely helpful, not so much for your book because you guys know how to cite a book parenthetically, author's last name and page number. But when you're citing websites, articles, various sources, you might not be sure what to cite parenthetically. So if you click on in-text reference, it will tell you what to put in parentheses if you are quoting that source. And it even goes on and it gives you a little MLA entry with the rules and reminders for citation, which is very helpful. The last thing you need to know for this particular portion of the project is how to create a note card. And this creation of note cards and organization of them will be featured in future lessons. But you can create note cards for a source by clicking on New right here next to the source, or you can just go to Note Cards at the top tab. So I'll click on New. And the note card feature includes the ability to put a title. So this is going to be very much up to you based on your research project. So you could call this primary source quote 1, or quote about survival, or wilderness survival, or something that gives you an idea of what the note card is about. So it reminds you of the content of the note card. And then you can type your quote onto the note card from your book. cite it and you can cite it parenthetically directly on the note card. My ideas just is an additional feature that you can use if you would like to explain or remind yourself why you picked this quote or how you might use it or where in your outline you might use it. When you have more than one source, you can select your source that the note card will be linked to from this drop-down menu, but for now you only have one source, so it'll be linked to the book. You can put the page number in here as well. If it is an online source, you can include the URL. And then you can tag the note card, make piles, do a paraphrase or a summary of instead of a direct quotation. And that will be covered later, or you can figure it out on your own. So save. So now you can see on my bibliography page, it is showing one new note card. So I can click on show and the note card will appear in the window along with the full source citation. You can hide it. If you go to note cards, this feature is called the tabletop. The tabletop is the area where you can arrange and organize note cards. And when you create a new note card, it goes in this kind of loading dock and you have to drag it out to be able to use it and access it. So what's really cool is these are, little virtual note cards that actually look like note cards. And you can hold the mouse over it to just kind of remind yourself about its contents. Or so you'll see when you hold the mouse over the note card, it will give you a quick preview of the contents of the note card. You can click View Details to look at it. Return to tabletop. You can drag and move note cards around, and I'll show you some other features that you can use with note cards. But one thing a lot of students like to use is the tag feature, which allows you to color code the note cards, and it'll put a little dot in the corner, which color codes them and reminds you which note cards go together in which piles. The outline feature we'll cover later, but one thing to note is that note cards can be dragged directly over into the outline to begin creation of the outline. And then you'll see a little check mark to show you that that note card has been used. So this was the first tutorial about how to use Noodletools for our research outline, and you can begin creating your account and getting your project started.